Have you ever casually clicked Allow Access to continue using an app or skip a boring pop-up? You're not alone. Most of us don't read those long permission messages. We just want to use the cool filter, take the quiz, or check what Disney character we are. But what if that small click gave someone access to your private information, and not just yours, but your friends, too? What if your fun online experience quietly helped change the course of history? That's exactly what happened in one of the biggest scandals in tech history. It wasn't just about some stolen data or a privacy breach. It was much deeper, like a secret tunnel connecting your personality quiz to global politics. How did it happen? And why did it shake the world's faith in Facebook? That's the hidden truth behind the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal. So when did it all start? It all began with a simple personality quiz app on Facebook. Back in 2013, a Cambridge University researcher named Alexander Kogan created an app called This Is Your Digital Life. It seemed harmless. Users who took the quiz agreed to share some information from their profiles. But what they didn't know was that the app collected way more than they expected. It accessed not only their data, but also the data of their Facebook friends. So even if you didn't take the quiz, your private details could still have ended up in someone else's hands just because your friend did. Now here's where it gets serious. That data didn't just sit in some lab for research. Kogan sold it to a political consulting company called Cambridge Analytica. This company claimed to specialize in psychographic profiling, which is just a fancy term for figuring out what kind of person you are and how you think. They believed that if they knew your likes, dislikes, fears, and hopes, they could target you with the perfect political message. Not just ads, psychological nudges, carefully crafted content that made you feel, without even realizing it, that a certain candidate or idea matched your beliefs. Cambridge Analytica reportedly got access to the data of around 87 million Facebook users. Most of these people had no idea their data had been harvested. They never gave consent. But their likes, political views, religious beliefs, and even what they clicked on were quietly collected and turned into political tools. The company didn't keep this power to themselves. In 2016, they worked with the Trump campaign in the US presidential election. While some details of their exact influence are still debated, insiders from the company later admitted that they used Facebook data to run micro-targeted ads that were not shown to everyone, just to specific groups of people based on their behavior. It wasn't just about showing a candidate's face. It was about feeding you messages that triggered your fears, reinforced your doubts, or gave you hope, depending on what would work best for you. All powered by your digital footprint. One former employee of Cambridge Analytica, Christopher Wiley, eventually blew the whistle. He revealed how the data was used and how the company operated. His statements caused a media storm. He described the methods as psychological warfare. According to him, the idea wasn't just to sell you a product. It was to change how you thought, behaved, and even voted without you realizing you were being influenced. And how did people react to this news? When the news broke in 2018, the reaction was explosive. People felt betrayed. Facebook wasn't just a social media platform anymore. It was seen as a tool that enabled manipulation on a global scale. Politicians, media, and the public demanded answers. Facebook's founder, Mark Zuckerberg, was called to testify before the US Congress. In front of cameras and politicians, he admitted that Facebook had made mistakes. But many people felt the apology came too late. The scandal raised many uncomfortable questions. Should a private company have the power to gather and sell so much data? Is it okay to use psychological tricks to influence elections? Where is the line between advertising and manipulation? And perhaps the most chilling question, if this happened without our knowledge once, could it happen again? What shocked people even more was how easy it was. Facebook's systems at the time allowed apps to collect data not just from users, but also from their friends. No deep hacking, no secret break-ins. It was just a clever use of the platform's features. And while Facebook had rules in place, enforcement was weak. By the time the problem was discovered, the data had already been copied, shared, and used. Cambridge Analytica didn't just stop with the US election. They claimed to have worked on campaigns in over 60 countries. Their strategy was simple: gather data, build psychological profiles, and target people with personalized messages. that hit emotional triggers. Whether it was about immigration, economic fear, or national pride, they tailored messages to stir reactions. And they didn't need the truth to do it. Emotion was more effective than facts. So Facebook took action against Cambridge Analytica. Facebook later announced that it had banned Cambridge Analytica from the platform. They also updated their policies to limit how much data third-party apps could access. But for many users, the damage was already done. Trust in the platform dropped sharply. People started asking themselves, what else has Facebook been doing with our data? Governments also took notice. The UK's Information Commissioner's Office fined Facebook. Lawsuits were filed. Data protection laws like the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, in Europe gained momentum and support. The world began to realize how unprotected personal data was and how tech companies held more power than most people had imagined. Cambridge Analytica shut down shortly after the scandal came to light. They claimed the media coverage had made it impossible to continue operations. But the people behind the company didn't just vanish. Some of them went on to form new companies with similar goals. The methods didn't die with the brand. They simply changed clothes. The scandal also revealed something deeper about social media and the internet in general. We had all enjoyed the benefits of free platforms without thinking about the price. And the price, it turned out, was us. Our habits, our preferences, our emotions. They were the product being sold. But what can people do for themselves to protect their data? The tools used by Cambridge Analytica weren't illegal at the time. That's what made the whole thing more disturbing. They worked within the existing rules, exploited loopholes, and made billions of data points do their bidding. It was a wake-up call, not just for users, but for lawmakers, tech companies, and societies as a whole. Many people began to take steps to protect themselves. Some deleted Facebook, others changed privacy settings or used ad blockers. But the truth was, it was nearly impossible to erase what had already been shared. The digital footprint we leave behind is more permanent than most of us want to admit. The scandal wasn't just about Facebook or Cambridge Analytica. It was about power, influence, and the future of democracy in the digital age. It showed how technology, when unchecked, could shift the balance of political power without any bullets or ballots being tampered with. It also made people more aware of how tech companies operate. We started paying attention to those terms and conditions. We became more curious about who was behind the ads we saw, and we began asking for stronger regulations and more transparency. Facebook did try to clean up. They rolled out changes, they added privacy tools, they limited access for third-party developers. But the damage to their reputation can't be compensated. The scandal had shown that even the biggest tech companies weren't being held accountable or failed to act responsible. Meanwhile, protectors like Wiley became heroes for the people unexpectedly. They showed the world what was going on behind the curtain. Their bravery helped spark debates, investigations, and reforms. Without their voices, the story might have stayed buried. And what made the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal so terrifying? The thing that made the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal so terrifying was how invisible it all felt. People didn't notice the manipulation. They didn't feel different. But over time, those small nudges, those ads, those posts, those subtle suggestions may have added up to real-world consequences. We often think of cyber threats as hackers stealing passwords, but this scandal revealed a different kind of threat. One that works in silence, one that doesn't need to break into your account, one that simply uses what you've already given away. So, was it all Facebook's fault? Or was it the users who blindly clicked accept? Or was it a mix of both, wrapped in a world where technology moved faster than ethics and law? There's no simple answer. But one thing is certain, the scandal changed how the world sees data. It forced a conversation we should have had much earlier. Today, as we scroll, click, like, and share, we do it with a bit more caution. We should think twice before downloading an app or joining a quiz. Though it may appear to be a small step, it is a crucial measure that could shield us from far greater challenges ahead. Awareness is the first line of defense in a digital world that's always watching. Lastly, the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal wasn't just a headline or a hashtag. It was a turning point, a stark reminder that in the digital world, our freedom, privacy, and even our sense of truth can be quietly compromised. The struggle for control no longer takes place in voting counters, but it plays out across our phone screens, created by algorithms that we don't see and decisions we don't notice. That battle is ongoing. Every digital trace we leave can be used to influence what we believe. In an age where data is power, awareness is our first defense, and perhaps our only one. Because the most valuable asset today isn't oil or gold, it's your attention.